Hey, this is a new episode of our building projects project where we think about the side ideas to build some passive revenue streams for our business. It's been a while since our last update, and now it's time to actually get back to evaluating of what we'll do next while the Shopify apps are still in progress. So since last time that we went through that, we selected 4 of the ideas that we want to build, and basically the next step right now is to go through like the product side of it and decide which one of the 4 we will likely take to the technical step of actually evaluating and maybe building.
Right.
We can start just from the top to bottom. The first one which we discuss is the idea of having a way to sync multiple calendars. So for the user who works on multiple projects or who needs to sync like a personal calendar with a work calendar, something or something else, basically there is an option to pay $10 for Calendly per month. But there are some cheaper versions on the market, and basically there are potential ways of doing kind of a similar thing, but to have it available cheaper than what there is on the market. And
I think we had a few different use cases there also, right? I mean, I definitely have this. I'm consulting in a few projects and have maybe like 7 calendars or something now, and it would be nice to have them synced. But that part Calendly wouldn't solve fully either, I would say. I would like, so in one project I'm on Teams, and then it would have to be synced with the Teams calendar, because when they then are booking meetings, you get this, okay, these people are available, and it looks like I'm always available because I only have like a couple of meetings with them. But for that to work, then I would need to get all my calendars synced with all of them without getting 7 duplicates of it in the calendar I look in.
So it would be solved within the Calendly, right? So basically, if every project would actually use your Calendly link where you have all the calendars synced to it, but not within their own ecosystem.
Yeah, and they won't, right? I mean, if you're in a company and you get on their system, they will not book everyone else there and then look at my Calendly. They will just look at the system they use.
Yeah, so it's likely it could be not only the booking feature itself, as much as it's just like a background sync for different calendars, where you can like as soon as you have an event created in one calendar, it should be reflected in other calendars in some way, which could be like a busy slot or whatever is the preference, I think. So when I was looking at what exists in the market, and that was probably my main doubt in terms of the actual market for this, is that you use bookings first of all for sales teams to get leads, to actually sell something, but we're talking about a very different customer who is maybe like a freelancer working on multiple projects. And what I think is also like my doubt to potentially like investigate is if those freelancers are actually willing to pay for like this, for overcoming this inconvenience, and how many do actually have multiple calendars. Because I think the sales market is actually, it's very interesting in the way that if the tool helps you sell, it's like a no-brainer. Like you pay $10, you can pay $50 if that actually brings the sales, and if it enhances a complex sales-driven growth for the company.
Yeah,
I think like it does look like, from one hand, from the competition that we have, like, and there's these like Calendar, Bookify, a lot of like built-in tools, like there's like a planner, calendar meeting planner in HubSpot. Everything is focused around sales, and none of them actually like sync events between different calendars themselves. Right. Like the best in that sense that I could find, which is actually free, is if but it also is just very like on a personal level that doesn't allow to collaborate is when you sync Google calendars, for example, between each other, and you share your one calendar to the other calendar, and then in a single one you can see all of them and see your availability, but that's not available to the teammates.
Right. That's one of the main challenges there then, right? Like how I would be willing to pay something for a really good calendar solution that solves my problems. But how do you find more of people like me? It's not, there's not a clear distribution channel, which was also one of the criteria we sort of put up. I think that's the main challenge, right?
Yeah. And I think there is a little parallel, at least with, at one point we had an idea of building a, like a planning tool for scheduling, like classes, some sort of classes, could be personal trainings, could be like some sort of a scheduling tool, but for like some small vendor with their customers and with some maybe built-in payments or payment reminders, something like that. And what we were surprised is that many of the really, really successful individual tutors, like we spoke to a few tutors who would like prepare people for like exams, and they would earn like quite substantially on a personal level. They were not willing to pay for anything really. They were good with like Google Sheets, and like yes, they earn like I think it was like in the whereabouts of like 10K a month, and they were not willing to pay like $5-10 a month for some tool for like, because the inconvenience is fine if it's free for them. Yeah. I think maybe if there is a way for finding some distribution channel, which would be kind of like an obvious step, maybe we could otherwise skip that for now, at least. Like we have a lot of ideas to prioritize, and maybe that's like my take would be that it's probably not the one to go after. So
we have our sheet here with different stuff. I actually put in yesterday a potential to be successful column that I was thinking we can sort of, I don't know if we're gonna rate or like our conclusion after the product business investigation, if it's like a 1 to 5 or just a yes, no, or, but it could be interesting to somehow rate that also and have a conclusion. Maybe we should do it like between these 4, or just put a general grade on what we think, or I'm not sure there, but to have some sort of summary of everything.
On a standard scale of 0 to 600?
Yeah, exactly.
I think maybe we can just rate them as sort of like as a overall feel of, I don't know, like 1 to 10 of how do we think it would work in the current sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think about that one then, if it's 1 to 10?
So for that, like given the no distribution channel, I would put it at like maybe 3 or 4. I think the reason that all the tools that exist within the space are sales focused, because it just makes too much sense to have like, if someone is selling something and you help them, they would pay you. So maybe a tool like that could work in some collaboration with like a freelance marketplace as a distribution channel, or like, I don't know, something in that sense. But I think it's too not clear.
Yeah. I was thinking the same from how you describe it, like maybe a 3 then at its current.
Cool. Yeah, then let's move on.
The next one I've looked into a bit more. So that was driven from this whole AI boom that's going on, and our other partner, built a Telegram bot that you can have generate images, and we were talking a lot about different ways to like use these new models that are out there. And this idea is to generate the copy for Google Ads, especially. So an easy way, especially maybe when you have a lot of products, to quickly generate the text or the copy and basically everything needed to set up the Google Ads. And that could be a generic one, and the main one I found is generic, but we could also go through a specific distribution channel like Shopify, like we're doing with the others, which would maybe be the closest path for us, since you have been doing some stuff there. That's actually what I like with this idea. It's sort of in the intersection of what we know. So both in terms of marketing, you've done a lot of Google Ads yourselves. We're doing Shopify app stuff, and we're doing, so Anton also that we're working with also did this text semantics model and so on, right? So it feels a little bit like all of the different things that we have been doing or are touching could be joined together in one here.
Yeah, and given actually also on the latest news, given my difficulties with the Shopify app, with the final things that I need to fix before I can submit it, those all things are not relevant for this particular idea, because this is pure backend. This is just generating products. Or not products. It's basically generating a CSV file for Google Ads campaign. And nothing to do with the theme, no previews, no thinking about shop compatibility, just export products and generate a file. So this I like a lot.
Yeah, and that's also one thing I like, that it can be done first very simple step, but then of course you could also integrate with Google Ads and have it injected directly, and we could have our own interface where you can control it and so on. But it's very possible to do in a step-by-step way, where just as you say, we export the products, we create the text and just output it, and then you have to put it in manually yourself. But there's you can start easily, but it can also grow to something very, very big. And also, connect to what you said, it is sales driven, right? So if it makes it easy for people to sell their products or even improve their sales, then there's a market for it. And that's so we have one thing here. We want to look at the market size. I just wrote huge because it's huge, right? People will be marketing on Google Ads. It's hard to put a number on it, but there's definitely a market potential there.
Yeah, for sure. So this is basically to one of the kind of more work discussions that we had earlier, that we have a case where there is a need for setup of Google Ads campaigns, and if that could be automated instead of using a physical person to set up the account fully. Of course, there still work that needs to be done in terms of keywords and targeting setup, some of the things, but generating ad copy is something where at least some creativity is needed, which I think enough of that can be provided by these machine learning algorithms by now.
Yeah, I think so too. And so with them, they don't have a lot of products and so on, so we discussed that's maybe not the ideal case, but I think it could still work actually. And the same in another project, we are marketing some health services. So I was thinking, you actually set that up. Do you think that could have been done with something like this? Because that's also there's 3 products, but it's still you have to write the copy and so on. Could that have been taken from the homepage and at least made it more efficient to set up? Or do you think it needs to be more a strict e-commerce product?
That's a good question actually. I think it could be used to just to maximize the end result, in the sense that basically the more ad copies you write, the more there is to actually optimize. And and the product that we were marketing is actually so simple and straightforward. Then in just a couple of or 3-4 ads variations, you kind of describe it all. It's basically testing and consultations and pretty much it, if you don't deep dive into every specific potential use case. And I think what's kind of these AI text editors are pretty good at is to reiterate on a similar thing.
Same topic, yeah.
Yeah, and to like have a couple of written ad copies and then to make it 10 out of them, or like
yeah. So instead of putting up 5 there, you put up 50, and then you keep the ones that are doing
yeah,
best.
exactly, and then it just finds the better options for that.
Yeah.
And especially if there, but that again would work even better if we had more products, because if it's like 10, 50 products, it's not a lot, but we're talking about like generating, let's say 5 ad copies per product. And the bigger it gets, the more there is.
Yeah, so that's also one thought. It could actually be an agency product rather than an end customer product. So like making it more efficient for agencies to set up. But yeah, in terms of competition, so I focused on Shopify, and actually like in the App Store, there's not a lot, but there is one main competitor that is like, it's not only Shopify, and they're quite big. So it's AdScale.com, and they're also doing they're doing a lot Facebook, Instagram, email, and so on. So it's like a more of a full service solution for all the marketing. So that's of course a big competition, but I still think would be room for like a niche player, and maybe especially for the smallers, which makes it with less features, it's also easier to use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. And they actually also have this take that there is a platform that you can evaluate the pricing for like an e-commerce, which ranges in like hundreds of dollars. And then there is an option for agencies, which could be also the case as you described it. Like it's either replacing a marketer for you potentially, or it's helping marketers to be super efficient, to run much more volume of what they're doing.
Yeah. So all in all, I would say I like this one, because I think we have access to like where Google Ads are being done. I think we could find like a test case quite easy. We could do a first version, but there's still potential for it to become something. So yeah, on our scale, I would maybe call it like a 7 or 8, but 7 probably more cautious.
Yeah, so I would probably be like maybe even more optimistic. So I would probably even vote for like an 8. In terms of like we can put like a 7.5 for precision.
Let's make it an 8 then. I had 7 to 8, and you have 8. That's an 8.
So so it's I think it's too straightforward in terms of like I would imagine just how to build it and market it from day one through Shopify, let's say, and it could be making something just right away. There are test cases where we can try it. It would probably be harder for like these less straightforward e-commerce cases where like I am marketing like another product, which is more like a service and custom build things. There's not like a list of 50 products where you can use product description to directly build the thing. But I think just as a test case with some Shopify store, we could just try it out and see how it goes.
Yeah, I think so too. So it has a nice combination of like easy to test and still quite a big potential.
Then let's move on. The next one was my topic that I dived into a little bit. Like the short story is that I think it could be huge, but I think it's very non straightforward, non easy to actually like implement comparing to the previous one. So basically the idea was to use Telegram or maybe even some other chat as a connector to business. So sort of giving a business an opportunity to talk to their customers, to build their customers, and on the other hand, for the customers to actually use messengers to search for products, find some information, order, and basically have all the communication with the business through the messenger, which is a case what Anton shared with us, like about Vietnam. Yeah. There is the same thing here in Uzbekistan, where many stores have like a Telegram chat where you can ask for something to be delivered, and there is even no website for them. But I think that this area is it's basically probably limited only by Telegram usage, and I think the like it will only work in countries where Telegram penetration is kind of the highest. Like if it's a default messenger in the country, that would work. If it's not, then basically you're working within a niche that is maybe also big, but it's not it's not a great tool for the business. Like if you're allowing them to use the messenger that is not the main in the country, then you should just pick the one that is the main one. Like if people use WhatsApp and not Telegram, you just have to use WhatsApp. What I found a little bit disappointing, that it kind of makes sense given the size of Telegram, is that on Shopify alone, there's like 44 apps enabling chat for the business, for the shop, like in different ways. There are tools for connecting Telegram, like payments to Telegram, where there's like some link being generated, where like it's very easy to just like use your card and almost not leaving the messenger to make the payment. I think unless there is a very strong idea of what we want to build and why, I think the space is kind of quite occupied. Let's say that makes sense. That like if you build something that is not much different from what there is, you would be just lost between the others, the other tools available. Like if you take Shopify store and if you search for Telegram, there's like just too many stuff already existing, and unless this is something that would grow, maybe that would have like a product-based a product-led growth where like the tool itself would be so great that its penetration would grow very rapidly. I wouldn't rely on the distribution channels because there's kind of already a lot of space taken.
Yeah, it sounds like that's more of like a hit or a miss, right? The potential can be really big, but you need to become the solution that people use.
Exactly. And yeah, and maybe for many of the like really great things, Telegram itself could be like the tool to fix the problem. Like, and if they enable like some convenient payments within the chat, that would be just super easy to use. They themselves would become like super app that would kill the business idea around payments through Telegram. So I think there is relatively high risk, potentially very high reward, but I think the idea is not as straightforward, and I would probably put it at around maybe like 5 or 6, in the sense that it's probably a potentially big business, but maybe not the one to do like next, if we're talking about what we start as the next project like right away.
Exactly. We want something that is more like not a huge project to start off with, right? It's more something that can start small and maybe grow.
We still need to work out our processes of how we work on these like side projects, given that I still have to finalize the Shopify app, and the next idea would better be like a straightforward, more straightforward one. With the others, we can just return to them later, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so we call that a 5, or what did you say?
Yeah, let's call it a 5. I think it's
cool. Then the last one out of these 4 we selected, we called as support ticket analysis. So yeah, this is also based on like the new text interpretation models and so on. And the idea here is for basically any customer support, text-based to start with, at least, to read all of that and then to give the company insight into that. So basically, what are the reason for the complaints? what worked to make people happy again and so on. So you can see either if something is becoming a problem or if there's a certain product that is causing all the problems and so on. And I mean, the most maybe the logical route to market here, it could be like a generic product, of course, but to then integrate or become an app on one of the support services, so like Zendesk, Intercom, etc. And looking at those distribution channels, since that's app stores, but none that we have worked in before, so it's a bit hard to say like what is the potential there and how does it work. We would have to look into that a bit more. But on both of them, there exists like competitors. So yeah, you actually found one. I found another one on Intercom. So there are companies doing this, and it's less within our area of expertise, I would say, than compared to the Google Ads one. So I don't see that we like have any head start there to anyone else. I think it's an interesting product, but it seems like there is competition, and it's also, I would say, like more complex than, again, comparing to the other one, the Google Ads. So for me, in total, that would like mean, there's a potential. I don't think it's also not as straightforward. It's like, I think both you and me with the Google Ads, we see that, okay, we should do this, and this, and then we know. With this one, there's more like, okay, how would we do it? And how can we don't know the competitors as well. We don't know the industry as well. So we don't know how to position and how to compete. So I think there's, big potential, but it's a more tricky one. So I would say, I would also say 5 or 6 on this one. I think maybe, comparing to the one you just said, I feel this one is like closer to what we should be doing, and where we have the overall potential is maybe bigger with the Telegram thing. But I think our sort of competitive advantage is bigger with this one. So if we should put those two against each other, I would probably call this a 6 then, maybe, in comparison.
Yeah, that would probably also be my guess here.
You already put a 6, I see.
Yeah. Like by the way you described it. So and with at least with the competitors that I found in this space, what I think is probably like a downside for it to be the first project is that it seems that this idea is by default it's leaning towards like an enterprise level, because unless you have a large number of tickets or large number of communications with the customers, it kind of doesn't make sense. It wouldn't even work, because you can just skim through the list of tickets yourself, like in a table.
If you only have 1 or 2 people doing support, then you will have it in your head, basically, right?
Exactly. And then we're talking about like whatever app that would be, it has to cost like $1,000 a month plus. Otherwise, it's not even relevant, both for the customer and for us to make it. Which means that it's kind of a high effort, potentially high reward thing, where we just need, like, if we commit, then we need to commit like a lot of energy into actually just not only building the thing, but also the sales process. And it's not likely to be like a product-led sales process, just because it's going to be expensive. So we need to have someone like explaining why pay so much.
Yeah.
As like a very easy like starter solution. So that basically leaves us with the Google Ads solution.
Yeah, which I am excited about, at least. I still think, sometimes when you start looking into things, you get more or less excited. But for this, and especially I think, with the ones we're already doing, we have so close access to testing something, and we can ourselves sort of evaluate if it makes sense or not. It would be helpful.
So I think what would probably be the next step for it is to have like a technical evaluation in terms of, I think, building it is not as complex, but just to go through the economics of the actual process, because like all these GPT-3 AI text editing process, it costs per some unit, and basically to understand what would be the pricing of that. But I think
maybe we should put together like a product brief for that, so we have it like, okay, we can explain exactly what it is we want to happen, and then get the technical input on that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would work the best probably. And like, given that we kind of, if we're selecting that idea, we can just like in a straightforward manner just explain how it should work, from that, I don't think it can be even close to as expensive as a real person thinking of the ads per product. But
Shouldn't be, no.
I think the next step would be to just evaluate the economics of it, and then we can queue it into the pipeline of the Shopify apps to be built.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. Then I guess that's it then.
Yes.
So to our viewers, listeners, if you have any comments or ideas, just leave them either in the comments or in the review section or wherever you're listening or viewing that. And we'll see you sometime soon, I hope. we need to get the consistency, otherwise that whole thing will not work.
True.
Okay, then.
Okay. Bye-bye.
See you.